Of all the different pieces of side content found in Final Fantasy XIV, none appear to have more universal appeal than treasure maps. As almost any time I've seen someone learn about it, they've instantly been intrigued, and when invited to a group to try out maps, that intrigue quickly turns into a love for a piece of content that they wouldn't know about without others. Which is the unfortunate part about treasure maps, as it's possibly the easiest piece of side content for players to miss out on if not told about. And so to help remedy that travesty, here's everything you need to know about the best piece of side content, treasure maps. What are treasure maps? Well, as the name implies, they are maps that once deciphered will reveal a small part of a random area in a given expansion. And if you find the exact area that the map reveals and use the dig command, you'll be rewarded with a chest containing things like crafting mats, skill, and most notably, items exclusive to said maps. But it doesn't stop there, as depending on the type of map used, you'll then have the chance for your chest to contain a portal, which is a small instance where you're able to get even more chests with increasing rarity as you progress through the dungeon. But the catch is, you can be kicked out at each checkpoint if you're not lucky. However, if you actually make it all the way to the end, you'll be heavily rewarded, as the final chest not only rewards a massive amount of gil, but it usually contains some of the rarest items found in the map's item pool, including things like emotes, rare minions, or even items used to obtain mounts. But with the what covered, let's now move on to the how. So, if you want to get started with treasure maps, the first thing you'll need to do is complete a quest found in Eastern Lenosha called Treasures and Tribulations, as completing this will give you the ability to both decipher maps and dig up chests. And with that completed, you can now go about actually getting your first map. Now, there are a few ways of doing this, but the best are going to be buying them off the market board as they are tradable, or obtaining them by gathering. You see, every expansion has its own treasure maps, with the treasure dungeons first appearing in Heavensward. Now, in every expansion, you're able to gather their map by finding a non-timed max level node from that expansion and gathering from it. However, a few things to keep in mind when it comes to physically gathering maps is, 1, they are rare, so you might have to go through several nodes before you ever see one. 2, you're only able to gather a single map every 18 hours, which is something you're able to keep track of by using your timer page. 3, there are actually 2 different types of maps. Solo maps that only have the overworld chest but can easily be done by yourself, and then group maps that have the ability to trigger treasure dungeons, but also recommend having a party to do so. Now, how you can tell the difference between them is by looking at the map's description, as the maps that have the potential to contain treasure dungeons almost always have in their description that they recommend having a party to do them. And the last little quirk to maps is the fact you're only able to have a single map type in any given inventory. For example, if I were to have a glider skin map in my inventory, I wouldn't be able to pick up a second until I either deciphered it or stored it in my chocobo saddlebag / retainers. And this rule also applies to them, so assuming I have no extra retainers, I'm only able to have 5 glider skin maps available to me at any given time. 1 on both retainers, 1 in my saddlebag, 1 in my inventory, and 1 deciphered. However, you can somewhat get around the storage limit by mailing them to friends and using that as a pseudo storage if you intend on running them together. But all that aside, once you have your map, it's time to actually use it and find your chests. Once deciphered, you'll be given a small section of a random area from the map's expansion, and you'll have to examine that specific area to find your map location. Or if you're having trouble doing so, you can use the Heavensward website that I'll be linking in the description and the pinned comment. Either way, once you reach the general area, you'll have to use the dig action to reveal the chest. Then you'll have to fight waves of enemies before you're able to actually open the chest, and hopefully get your first portal. Speaking of which, let's now talk about the treasure dungeons, for which there are 2 variants: the choose a door and the roulette. Starting with the doors, this type is similar to the overworld chest, where we fight waves of mobs before we're able to open our chest. After which, you want to choose one of the available doors, and if it's the correct one, then you'll be able to continue, and if it's not, you'll be kicked out. Now, the special thing about the door variant is the gambler's lure. Rarely when you open a chest, you'll get the option to increase the contents of said chest up to 5 times by guessing lower or higher than a number. The catch is that if you guess wrong, you'll lose everything. So you can get a massive payout, but if you're greedy, you could lose it all. The other variant is the roulette. Unlike the doors, you don't really have much choice with this version, because all you do is spin the wheel, and that determines the rarity of the chest you'll get. Also, instead of fighting waves of enemies, you instead fight different bosses depending on the rarity of your roll, with the green diamond being the lowest and the red diamond being the highest. But outside the diamonds, there are also 3 other nodes that have special effects. The Atomos node will kick the party out of the dungeon. The golden node is equal to the highest rarity and will transform the wheel, causing all the nodes to turn into either high rarity or Atomoses, meaning you get high payout, but you have more risk of being kicked out. And lastly are the friendly nodes. These are the rarest by a long shot, and instead of spawning a boss, they spawn a friendly NPC that offers a chest that contains some of the rarest items in the game. But with the unique mechanics of both dungeons explained, let's now move on to the things that they share, starting with the special encounters. Rarely while fighting a wave or a boss, you can on occasion have rare enemies spawn that provide different rewards depending on the enemy, for which there are 3 types. First is the gold enemies who run away from the players and drop a bag upon being killed that contains gil and crystals/clusters. Second is the mandragores that you have to kill in the order of 1 to 5, and if done correctly, they will drop a bag containing not only gil, but also tombstones. And lastly are the keepers, who kind of serve as a stage hazard, pulling players in, making it easier for them to get hit by AoEs. And if killed, they drop a chest full of materia. And that's basically all you need to know to do maps, so let's now talk about why you should do maps. As alluded to earlier, there are a variety of items exclusive to maps, such as minions, mounts, music, and even numerous glamours. But beyond that, they're also a great source of gil, because not only can you sell the different items found within, as essentially everything is tradable, but also the dungeon itself hands out gil constantly. So even just doing maps is going to make you a lot of gil, even if you don't actually win anything. But don't get me wrong, the big appeal is those items, as you can regularly get things that sell for hundreds of thousands or even millions. And then there are the really rare items. You see this golden beaver here? How much do you think this little fella is worth? A few million? Maybe 10? Well, he's worth 50 million. Which is to say, the money you can make from maps can quickly get out of hand if you're lucky enough. And the best part is, while they do recommend a party to do the treasure dungeons, you don't have to. In fact, I regularly do maps solo with Blue Mage. It's actually how I got the gold beaver. And I even have a guide and a stream showing how to do it. Well, that being said, let's quickly show just how much money you can make by doing a few maps. And that's all I have to say about maps. Hopefully this has gotten you interested in one of the most fun side activities in 14, and ideally you have some good luck when you decide to try it for yourself. Now, if you found this video helpful, please consider liking it and possibly subscribing to the channel, and leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer it if at all possible. Also consider checking out one of my other videos like this starter guide for Blue Mage if you want to do maps by yourself. But with that being said, thanks for watching, and I wish you the best on your map hunting.